Hello, everybody. Hello. I'm Mike Diab. I'm the MC for tonight. I'm here with my wife. Her name is Deanna. Deanna's sitting out today. Thanks for coming, at least, hon. Yeah. So I tend to run a little bit. My wife's pretty good at keeping me on time, as we have a script here to read. So pardon me if I look very formal. Okay. But welcome to the Bridge Sleeping Out. It's the 2022 edition. I think this is our fourth annual. Greg, is that right? Fourth annual. Isn't that great? Pretty excited. Pretty excited. We actually grew up down the road here when this used to be a church, and all our kids came here, and we watched it go abandoned and sat empty for years. And what a great way to use a building. Great resources for youth, and it's just a perfect venue. So we're really glad they did something great with this building. Also, I want to start off by thanking, some very important people. Mr. George Bergen, he's the president of the Bridge. Krista Rempel, executive director, and Greg Weens, manager of operations. Hooray! And the staff, by the way, the staff at the Bridge. You guys are stunningly awesome, okay? And thank you for having us. Yeah, and the volunteers. Oh boy, do I know volunteers, I'll tell you. So you probably don't know my wife and I very well. We are from Leamington. We've grown up here all our lives. But people always say, why do you do what you do? Who are you? What do you contribute to this community? Here are two things I want you to remember of my wife and I, and this is all you need to know, okay? We never make ourselves too busy that we can't give of our time. If you know what that means, you understand Deanna and I. We're never too busy for anybody. We try our best to be available for all kinds of charitable events. And also, this is very true. This is very true of our family and our philosophy. We strongly believe that either everyone matters or no one matters, okay? So in our lives, we deal with a lot of people and different venues, and we always promote ourselves as non-judgmental, and we really mean when we say everybody matters or no one matters. And we carry that throughout our lives. That's all you need to know about us. Everything else is just me and you. That's it. So what is Sleeping Out at the Bridge? And why is this fundraiser so necessary? So this fundraising challenge helps us raise dollars to support necessary programs and services, including the organization's Queering Family Fresh Start Supporting Housing Facility. We've met the Queerings. They're fantastic people. They're incredibly generous, and they're very, very in tune with the community. The Bridge is a not-for-profit organization that assists with bridging the gaps for youths ages 14 to 24 in the Leamington and surrounding area. The center offers basic needs services and programming that focuses on education and income supports, also life and coping skills, along with other programs and services. The organization also opened the Queering Family Fresh Start Supportive Housing Facility in January of 2020 to address youth needs around housing instability and homelessness. The program is to assist a youth on their journey of change to family reintegration, independent living, or more permanent supportive housing opportunities. So that is a fantastic endeavor. Okay, we were gonna have Krista tonight, but we've changed some plans, so she's out there somewhere, I'm sure. So tonight, I got an awesome person standing next to me here. I'd like you to introduce to you. Her name is Jade Piper. Hello, Jade. Hi. Jade's also, she's also one of our guests for tonight, guest speakers, okay? She will showcase a couple songs, but before she does, I want to give you a little bio of Jade Piper. Can I do that? Yes. Thanks, Jade. I'd let you read it, but I have to read it. So Jade's originally from Nova Scotia. She's lived in Windsor since 2013, where she began seriously putting in the work to overcome several personal struggles in her life. With the endless support she received from local community organizations and a heartfelt belief in a power greater than herself, Jade was able to pursue her dream of post-secondary education, going back to school at the age of 27, and eventually graduating from the University of Windsor with her Bachelor's of Social Work in 2020, and then her Master's of Social Work and work in 2021. Jade is now a clinical therapist and registered social worker in the community of Windsor and works in the mental health field, currently providing care and support for WEIOP. You all know what that means? No? I'll tell you what it means. It's Windsor Essex Intensive Outpatient Program. It's a new day treatment program for transitional age youth and adults experiencing difficulties with eating disorders. We know about eating disorders. I had a brother who had an eating disorder. It was very difficult to watch. Jade considers herself a mental health advocate aiming to work alongside individuals, community members, and local organizations to reduce stigma and effect change by informing and educating others around mental health challenges. Jade's heart lies working with and alongside people as they navigate life's many ups and downs and focus on supporting her clients as they work towards achieving a place of holistic wellness, soul, and spirit, like we talked about, right? Can you guys hear me okay? Sorry about that. So what's left? Jade, take it away.
Hello, testing, testing. So when I'm not doing all of that, I've been known to play a couple songs. So. Be the light in the crack, be the one that's mending the camel's back, so do anger come to love, be more hard and less attack. Be the wheels at the track, be the one that lets you coming back, be the past right where it's at, be more hard and less attack. More you take, the less you have. 'Cause it's you in the mirror, stand back, quick to echo, slow to react, be more hard and less attack. Ever growing, steadfast, and if need be the one that's in the gap, be the never turning back, twice as hard. was a preacher. She was his wife, just trying to make the world a little better, you know, shine a light. But people started talking just to hear their own voice. Those people tried to accuse my father, saying he made the wrong choice. Although it might be painful, you know that time will always tell. Those people have long since gone, my father never fell. 'Cause even when the rain falls, even when the fire starts rising, even when the storm comes, I am washed by the water. Even when the rain falls, even when the flood starts rising, even when the storm comes, I am washed by the water. Even when the earth crumbles under my feet, even when the ones I love, they turn around and crucify me, I will never ever let you down. I won't fall, I won't fall, I won't fall as long as you're around me. Even when the rain falls, even when the fire starts rising, even when the storm comes, I am washed by the water. Even when the rain falls, even when the flood starts rising, even when the storm comes, I am washed by the water.
Thanks. So, did you guys feel that? We were just talking before we came up here how music is like an emotional story, and we were connecting because we have family members that sing, and a lot of it comes from the heart, and I can hear that with Jade. We can really hear that, can't we?
Xavier. I'll see you guys later. You're going to get to know me really well in a bit.
You'll see her again tonight, later on. So continuing on, I got to have a reminder here. Please remember that donations can be received up till 9:15 tonight, which can move your team to the top, okay? There are some categories of teams here that I'm going to read to you so far. The standings are up to date here as far as I know, right, Greg? Corporate teams, they're first, second, and third. Right now, it's UE Enclosures in first place, $31,716.50. Rock on, boys and girls. In second place for corporate teams is MC Manufacturing, $18,605. Give it up, give it up. And where's Cornelius? Is Cornelius in here? Hey, good work, good work. Fair Car Wash, $14,760. Trust me, I know how hard it is to bring in donations. It's not that easy. You guys make it look easy. So the second category is non-corporate teams. Hogs for Hospice, we all know Hogs for Hospice, right guys? $6,143. They're in first place for non-corporate teams. In second place is MB Youth, $5,072. I mean, those are really big numbers, eh? And UMEI is at $4,347. So for individuals, again, first, second, and third place, Cornelius Fair, $14,045. Good work, good work. And of course, the president, Mr. Bergen. George, are you here today? I see you. Not here today? Okay. George Bergen, $12,928. And don't forget the manager of operations, Greg Weens, $10,545. Greg, tell me your special sauce, okay? I need to know how you did this. So the total complete, $151,710, and our goal is $160,000. So we've got this, right? We've got this. Congratulations. So if there are people that are still hesitant about donating to the bridge and the Sleep Out fundraiser tonight, I want to tell you where your dollars will go. And, you know, this is a very important event. It happens once a year, but the money is important all year round. Your donation dollars to the bridge span the way to education, employment, mental health, and food security for our youth. Your dollars help establish transitional living facilities, safe places to clean up and sleep. Your donation will create opportunities to overcome barriers and allow them to stand tall for a better future and a positive trajectory. That's all we could ask of any of us, right? Is just head in the right direction. Life is not a straight line. It's not a straight line. You don't think here and expect to have the results here. It never works like that. My parents lied to me. My parents lied to me. They said, you can be whatever you want. I thought, sure, what does that mean? They didn't tell me the line goes like this. Should I keep doing it? You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Life is not a straight line. Your expectations don't have to be, I got to get from point A to point B by this time or this year or for this reason. Life is a journey, and it's not a straight line. Be patient. Be patient. The trajectory, that positive trajectory, is what you focus on. Is going in the right direction, right? The monies that we raise also goes to the supportive housing, the Queering Family Fresh Start Housing Facility we've seen out there. It's a beautiful state-of-the-art building. Mental health and addiction services helps to learn life and coping skills for those that come here. Job and education assistance, a homework area and a chapel. Your money goes to computers and games to keep people socializing. That's a very important aspect. Clothing closet, shower and laundry facilities, a hot meal at night, a nutrition program with 3 days worth of groceries. Participate in nightly activities. It's also very important. It's a place to share your story, and even more important, it's a place to make your story. So that's a very valuable asset. We're going to do something a little different tonight here, something we talked earlier, me and my wife. My wife and I want to donate $200 to one of the teams or one of the individuals. We know a lot of people in those teams and individuals. We didn't know who to give it to. So what we're going to do tonight, I have the $200 on me. If you guys or gals or anybody online hearing this event, if you call my wife's cell phone number and you're the third person, and she answers and you're the third person, we'll give you that $200, but you must contribute it to one of your teams, one of the teams that you prefer, or one of the individuals, okay? So that's how that will work, all right? And we'll connect with you after to get that money to you. So you can start calling at any time. I think your phone's on mute, or you got the sound down there? You can start calling anytime. Her number is 519-981-2655. So the third caller on that phone will get the $200. They can contribute it to any of the corporate teams or the individuals. She's at caller one. So I'm going to continue on while she does this, okay? All right. So if you haven't already heard, Hogs for Hospice And the Guardian of the Children are riding around our location. They're riding to raise awareness and make some noise, okay? And showing their support for those who are participating in the fundraiser as well. So,
Interrupt you here. Wait a second. We're going to put you on hands-free.
1 second.
You're on hands-free. Who are we speaking with?
I'm sorry?
You're hands-free right now at the bridge. Who am I speaking with?
This is Olivia Coppola. I'm from UMI Christian High School.
That's wonderful. You're the winner of our little call-in for $200 for donation.
Yay!
Congratulations. So can you tell us who you want to donate what team you want to donate to or individual?
I want to donate to UMI Christian High School.
Right on! Okay. Well, thanks for playing along with us. We'll make sure that your team gets that money.
Okay, thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of the night.
We'll connect with her later. That's really sweet. That's so great. This is also, I got to tell you this, there's pizza coupons from Domino's, as well as $5 gift cards from the North Leamington Tim Hortons, a continental breakfast sponsored by the Kindred Credit Union, and sleep out socks are available at the bridge if your group has not already done so, okay? So please remember those things too. It's 8:25, we're right on track. So now, I'm honored to introduce to you our first guest speaker. This evening, Mr. Bonizi Zakali. I'm going to tell you a little bit. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Mr. Zakali was born in Makokoba in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe. Yes. His spoken word name is Zomkanto, which happens to be his bloodline's totem. He is a spoken word artist, a freelance journalist, a storyteller, arts educator, youth mentor, qualified community service worker, and grassroots community organizer. He is the co-founder of MENTAL, Wellness Forum, and that stands for My Emotions Now, Today, Are Legitimate. It's a platform created by arts educators and certified community service workers whose goal is to teach storytelling techniques that enhance individuals' abilities to tell their stories as a way to heal or cope with their everyday lives. Beautiful. Comprised of a network of spoken word artists, storytellers, drummers, and musicians, it will consult much broadly with mental health care professionals and foster relationships with mental health networks to create a safe space for people to learn how to use words as part of resilience and healing. Am I right? It centers on the legitimacy of people's emotions, such that individuals who often feel dismissed or who want to learn ways to tell their own story to themselves can have the courage to do so without fear of judgment. Mr. Zakali, please.
Hello, everyone. It's always so inspiring to see communities come together for members of their community, for vulnerable members of community. You know, I appreciate one thing about communities that are responsive to their members is that when we start to foster a culture of being obsessed with taking care of people, we change so many people's lives. And you know, when I first got approached about this, I was terrified because, you know, when I think back to my homelessness that lasted 2.5 years, I don't know if I still, I'm terrified sometimes talking about it. But I know that the resilient person that was created by that time is what matters the most. the person that uh, is consistently finding their words and meaning again. Because at that time, I had been erased. I felt unloved. Homelessness is a funny thing because after the homelessness is the trauma itself of you know of rejoining society. So you are also homeless after the homelessness. It took me long, so long to come back to be at home with myself because the homelessness had stripped that dignity from me. It had stripped the confidence that that I was that I'm capable of now. And I'll just talk about like my homelessness started on December 25, Christmas Day, 2015. And I remember that day when I was carrying bags. I only had 2 bags. I had 2 bags that I carried to the downtown mission on Christmas. And I was like, wow, it felt unbelievable that my life had come to that point. But I can tell you something that survived in me, which I would love to share with others who find themselves in that point of vulnerability. I discovered that the person who came out of there is a survivor. you know, like I've never really felt this much love for who I am, and for you know for just life itself, knowing that I am that resilient. To be as resilient as to survive homelessness is a beautiful thing, because during that time you really lose love for yourself eventually. you know I walked back to finding home with me, and I felt so good after, when I had finally conquered the demons that had that had said to me that I was no longer a valuable person. I felt like I was no longer a valuable person, but I feel so confident now. And knowing that there are people, this is what helped a lot. Knowing that there are people who are able to gather like this for a cause like that is exactly how I came out of that situation. So we need to come to a point of recognizing how valuable it is for people to have a roof over their head. And how do we start that? By putting a roof over people's own lives as well, because it doesn't stop with physically putting a roof over people's head. It is also about putting a roof over their aspirations, making them feel wanted, making them feel that it is worth it to wake up the next day. So I'm so thankful that I get to meet people with this much love for others, that you are doing this tonight. And I also would love to emphasize that after the actual event, you know, that people read more about youth homelessness, that people read more about the initiatives that are out there helping, just like you've done. I didn't know if I was going to be confident enough to share this, but I want to share a poem with you, and I hope that it reaches somebody. If you could patent one thing about yourself, what would it be? If you had authority over one thing you discovered about yourself that would make you powerful beyond measure, something that came to you like an invention, a unique feature that set the world whispering, what depths of yourself would you go to find a flower so out of its depth that a dying man would devote his last breath in case he leaves? A diamond so finely cut you can use it to tattoo an elephant's skin. If you could patent something about yourself, what would it be? Your smile? Or that panicked way in which you go through your pile of dirty clothes to find something to throw in this washing machine called life, anticipating to get back something clean with no lingering stains of memories that are the hardest to keep. If you could patent something about yourself, what would it be? Would it be that crazy idea that comes and goes? That very same one that walks into the room and stands tall, but you cower in its shadow until it shrinks and exposes you to the harsh sun? Would you be able to own something that can be lost 1,000 times with no address and still find you blindfolded? What could you find in that ball of energy called you? That becomes a name written across lifetimes, like a bus ad, to destinations with no crash pads, where you just leap because you've practiced the landing 1,000,000 times too often, and too often with no ground beneath you. What would you patent about yourself? Something that switches on a light in a dark room that was too shy to part its own curtains. What could be licensed and yet be the most free software known to a generation? Such that to steal it is to actually feed it. To attempt to defeat it is to reveal it. A software that reads lullabies to children. What would it be? Something that will open eyes wide enough to see over walls, that will win over souls, and that whatever is left of that uniqueness of yours, whether it can no longer be needed in the way it was born into the world, will be known as that beautiful something we would have been unlucky to live without, had you not chosen to patent it and make it ours too. Thank you.
Wow, did you feel that? Did you feel that? Mr. Zakali, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for the emotional outreach that you just did here. We feel it. We definitely do. We have our second guest speaker tonight. You've already met her. Her name is the lovely Jade Piper. Jade, you want to come up?
Hello, everybody. Good to see you again. Like I said, you're going to get to know me. Thank you so much for that. That was wonderful. I spoke with you before the evening started, and just what a wonderful human being you are. It was really lovely to get to know you, and that was wonderful. I'm glad you did your spoken word. I encouraged him to. Okay, so my name is Jade Piper. Like I had the lovely introduction from Mike earlier, and I'm here. I was asked to share about my story, and so I will tell my story sort of in a linear way. That's typically how I do it. But yeah, so I do want to say hello to my 3.5-year-old nephew, Monkey. I love you. He's watching. He thinks I'm going to talk back to him. I have to say hi to him. I know my entire family is watching too, and my boyfriend. I love you all. So my story is one of difficulty, one of growth. It it took a couple of turns, and I mean, I guess you guys will hear it, but really, my story is one of hope. My story is one of, just really overcoming and beating odds. I am standing today here. I believe that I am nothing short of a miracle, and I probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for everybody on the other side of the camera watching me. I love you all. Okay, so yeah, I'm from the east coast of Canada, like Mike said. I'm from Nova Scotia. I'm from a very rural part of Nova Scotia, so wood stove, well water, off the grid. And I absolutely loved it. I loved growing up where I did. I was really blessed with, two wonderful, loving parents and family. And I'm an identical twin, so I will probably say we a lot, but forgive me, that's just because I'm usually speaking about myself and my twin sister, Megan. I also had a younger sister, and we had a good childhood, like there was, I can say honestly, there was no neglect, there was no abuse. We were lower income, sort of lower socioeconomic status, sort of paycheck to paycheck. Maritimers, right? So pretty laid back. I excelled, in school growing up, all through grade school. I was in extracurriculars. I started playing guitar back then, sports, all of that. But from a very young age, I do remember this really deep-seated feeling of just not belonging. Right? And I'm sure, we could probably all relate at one time or another in our lives, but it was just this strange feeling of, not feeling like I measured up in some way, not feeling like I was enough. I had sort of a root of abandonment. My biological father was not really present in my life, and I know now that that affected me, right? Like I said, kind of continued on and, excelled in most things and had a pretty happy childhood from what I can remember. Until, about the age of 13, 14, sort of something happened and we moved across the country. And it was a very traumatic experience sort of for me as a young 13-year-old who was literally uprooted from, her hometown, her friends, her families, her sports teams, all of her, her familiar surroundings. And so we moved across the country, and sort of that was the beginning of a change in my sister and I. And it wasn't soon after that we started experimenting, as typically young people do. And I do want to just say, like, a bit of a disclaimer, a bit of a trigger warning. My story is one of drugs, alcohol, substance use, but a lot of hope. And I will, I am mindful that there are younger people in the crowd, but I was told to sort of be honest, so I'm going to do that. So yes, I went from the small rural town of Chester, Nova Scotia, to this big city of Winnipeg, and it was super. It was a culture shock for me, right? And I was the new kid in my junior high at the time, and I was starting to be bullied, and it was a really difficult time. 13 is a very awkward time. And I think as an act of rebellion, now looking back, my sister and I, we kind of made friends with whoever we could, and we started experimenting. And I remember the first time that I drank alcohol, or that I, smoked weed. I just felt like that, that feeling that I had always felt from when I was a child, right? That feeling of not belonging, that feeling of somehow not measuring up, that feeling of somehow not being enough. That feeling sort of lessened and weakened when I was sort of partaking in recreational drug use. And, really from there began to rebel, right? It was sort of like this F you attitude that I had towards my parents, like, you did this to me, you moved me across the country, it was sort of rolled with it, right? And, got into sort of punk rock and started going to shows and all of those things. And, through a series of events, my parents decided to move us back to the small town a year later. So we were back in Chester, Nova Scotia, and, back in the same sort of surroundings and stuff. But we had really changed, my sister and I had really changed, and we started hanging out with, people that, were doing the same things that we were into. And it was the beginning of my substance abuse. It was the beginning of my addiction, right? And little did I know it at the time. I was 15 years old, right? Who remembers being 15? Who is 15, right? You're sort of just like living, maybe for the moment. And at least I'll speak for myself. It was sort of like I lived for the weekends. I lived for, the social outlet. I lived for the next high. I lived for the next drunk. And I was only 15 years old. My grades started to decline, all of that. I used to have sort of like the highest average, and I had sort of, it had changed so quickly. And this sort of continued, this trajectory continued. And obviously, I had a family that really loved me, and they tried, a lot of things to, but I think mostly my parents thought, oh, this is a recreational, it's a phase, right? How many How many people have heard that or said that, right? It's just a phase. Yeah, maybe I even believed it was a phase. But, we went on to high school, and it just kind of got progressively worse, right? And sort of the weekend turned into like, Thursday to Sunday and then to Monday, right? And weed and alcohol sort of turned into mushrooms and ecstasy, right? And, you're sort of always chasing that next high. And so that's what I can remember from being 15, 16, 17. And so it just continued to escalate. Addiction is very progressive, this we know, and substitution is very common as well in addiction, right? So you can sort of have an addiction to a substance. Addiction is really you continue to do addiction. The definition of addiction, I'm sure there's many, but it's essentially, doing the same thing despite destructive outcomes or destructive results, right? So, yeah, lots of substitution, and it was very progressive, right? And I see that now, looking back. Yeah, getting older, got into a relationship, moved out, and it was just, I think it was finally about, when I was 17 or 18, and I kind of looked around, and I think I realized, I think I'm addicted to drugs, right? And I had dropped out of high school at this time, and I was addicted to ecstasy. I was doing a lot of ecstasy every day. I had lost 50 pounds. It was just a terrible time. And you think maybe that would be enough to wake somebody up, right? But it truly wasn't. That was really the beginning of my habitual hard drug use. And so over the next several years, it was sort of just a series of new lows, right? I always say, and I think I stole this from my sister, because when she tells her story, she says this, but each rock bottom that I had, each perceived rock bottom that I had a trap door, right? So my rock bottom kept going down and down and down and down. And, I moved to Halifax. I was living in the city, and yeah, it was just, I looked around me, and the company that you keep when you're in that situation, right? When you begin to have a daily habitual, habit to a substance that really robs you of all of your dignity, all of your self-respect, right? All of your essence, all of who you thought you were. Did I set out to be, when I was a 10-year-old girl, to be a person who used drugs, sort of, on the verge of homelessness? No, I didn't. But it really kind of sneaks up on you, and it did for me. So here I am, 18, 19, 20, living in the city, and, sort of just squatting, right? And when I think of homelessness, I think maybe some of us think of homelessness, and maybe we have a stereotypical idea of what homelessness is, right? It's actually, someone said it to me earlier, okay, you're sleeping outside, you're on a park bench, you're, in a bus shelter. And, the definition of homelessness is defined by Canada, I'm going to butcher it, but I'm paraphrasing, is essentially, a lack or absence of a permanent, safe, secure dwelling, right? And so my journey with homelessness did begin when I was about 20, 21 years old, because it was, couch surfing, right? It was a lot of couch surfing. It was a lot of feeling like I only had somewhere to go when I had something to offer, when I had money, or when I had dope, or when I had, something else to give, right? And it was really, that feeling that would creep up on me when I would have brief moments of like sobriety, or of being sober, or in my right mind. It was like that feeling of like, I don't belong here, I don't belong here. So it was the same feeling that I felt when I was a little girl, and I had tried so hard to like snuff that out, and to deal with that, and to cope with it, that when I would have these brief moments of being sober, I would just feel them so deeply. But that just sort of inspired me to kind of chase after that high even more. And I did a lot of things in those years. I resorted to crime, a lot of crime. I stole to support my habit. I, at this point, was addicted to crack cocaine. And if anybody wants to know anything about that substance, the drug should be called more, because you will literally do anything you can to get more. And I know this is pretty candid, and I'm very mindful of that, but I think we kind of need to know the reality of these things sometimes, right? So so I resorted to crime. I resorted to theft, a lot of theft to support my habit. My twin sister and I did. Not my finest moment, obviously. And throughout these years, my family is still very present, still very wanting to support. And I tried many treatment centers. I tried, detox many times, so many times. I would almost sort of just do it to appease my family, right? And then, again, progressively worse. It got progressively worse. So I was couch surfing. I was, stealing to afford my habit. And then like I said, my rock bottom had a trap door. So I then, stumbled upon opiates and began, taking opiates, and you develop a physical dependency on that substance, right? So it's one where if you don't have it, you will be sick. You will go through withdrawal, and it's not pleasant, right? So there I am, 21, 22 years old. My criminal record is sort of escalating because I'm getting caught shoplifting. And, one of my friends sort of gave me a suggestion that I should become a sex worker. So what is a 21-year-old, woman who is addicted to hard drugs, who has nowhere to go and nobody who really cares, it felt like, do? I said, okay, I did it. And so that was a really dark period of my life, obviously. I did spend 2 years, as a sex worker, and it was a really dark time of my life. And I just remember sort of that feeling of just having nothing and nobody, right? And my family, again, they always tried, but I didn't feel like I wanted to get sober at this point in time. It was sort of like, I always equated to like, yes, my desire to get sober was there. It was there for sure. But my desire to use and to cope and to numb that emotional pain was greater, right? And it wasn't until those scales sort of tipped that I was able to get help. But one day I was, walking the street that I worked on. I was homeless. I had my possessions in a plastic bag. I was really desolate. I was lost. It was the darkest day of my life. I saw sort of the bridge in the distance. There's a similar bridge in Halifax that's like the bridge here in Windsor. And I thought to myself, death has to be better than this. Death has to be better than this. I tried to get sober. I tried AA. I tried detox. I tried all these things. And so I walked out towards the bridge. I was 24 years old. It was a spring day. It was one day in May, and I was visibly distraught and very upset. And so I had to walk past the toll booths to get to the bridge. And I really don't know if it was a cry for help or if I ever intended to really, do that. But I was desperate. At this point in time, my family had really learned about what enabling meant. And enabling is essentially when, you're sort of out of love for that person, you're sort of inadvertently supporting their addiction, right? Because, maybe it's hard to have boundaries with your daughter or your granddaughter, but they had really learned what enabling was, and they basically said, if you don't want to stop, then we can't continue doing this, right? And so I felt like I had nobody. I literally had nobody. I had nothing. I was 24 years old, and I just felt like my life was over. But so I walked past the toll booths, and the bridge police obviously saw this distraught young woman, and they came to talk to me. And the police were called, and the police were very familiar with who I was, and they said, Jade, your grandmother loves you. They knew my grandmother. They knew my grandparents because they were always sort of at mine and my sister's court dates and sort of always there supporting us. And he said, your grandmother, call her. And I said, they don't want anything to do with me. They really don't. But something moved inside of me that day. And my story is also one of faith, right? And I know Mike said that I really accredit a belief in a higher power to my success and me being able to overcome the odds. But I do believe that was sort of like a spiritual intervention on that bridge that day. I called my grandmother and I said, I will do whatever it takes. I will do whatever you tell me to do. I'm done. And so over the next month, I made the decision to do that. And I ended up coming to Windsor, actually, all the way from Nova Scotia, to start at a treatment program for women. It was a faith-based treatment program, so it was a Christian treatment program. And I walked in the doors, 24, broken, an atheist, didn't believe in God at all. I was met with so much love. So much love. And I was there for 14 months, and it was probably one of the hardest, most rewarding, most challenging, difficult, peaceful times of my life. So, now looking back, I mean, I went through a lot of trauma in those years, right? And my self-worth was so low, my self-respect, yeah, the resentment I think I harbored towards myself, the anger I harbored towards myself for putting my family through what I put them through, right? It was really challenging, right? But I want to highlight just the wonderful people that make up organizations just like this one, right? Who literally love people back to health. And that's really all I can describe my experience at this treatment center as. It was essentially, me surrendering, of course, and letting these people help me, support me, get me through those hard days, and also, meeting my higher power, who I call Jesus. Right? Jesus is one of the greatest gifts of my life, and through all of that, I was really able to overcome, and I was able to make a full recovery. During this time, my sister was still out on the streets. I had come to Windsor and sort of left her behind. And a lot of people always ask, "What happened to your sister?" So I always like to just share that, after I was in program for about a year, my sister was in and out of jail at the time, and every time I would talk to her, it would be really disruptive to my healing and to my stability. And so I didn't talk to her very frequently, and it was very difficult because she was my identical twin sister, and we went through everything together. It was challenging to not be experiencing this new way of life without her. But I remember one day I got a phone call from her, and she just sounded out of it. She wasn't making any sense, and it was really just painful for me to say. But I literally looked at her, or I said to her, "Megan, if I see you again, I know it'll probably be in heaven, because you just sound, you sound like you're on your way out." And because she was just making no coherent sense. It was just terrible. And that day I knew that I needed to just put her down. I needed to put her down. I needed to stop striving. I needed to stop trying to save her. I needed to stop, doing all those things. And as soon as I did that, honestly, you would not believe it, 2 weeks later, she walked into the doors of that treatment center, and I got to watch her get sober and fall in love with God as well. And she is now 8 years sober as well, and has 2 beautiful children. And so we got to, yeah. Yes, definitely clap worthy. Yes. So here we are today. So I'm in my 10th year. I was just speaking to someone before I started speaking that this is my 10th year in Windsor. This is my 10th year in continuous long-term sobriety. Thank you so much. I truly never thought it would be possible, but I do give a lot of credit to, just organizations like this. And so from there, I was able to graduate the treatment center. I'd never graduated high school. I was a high school dropout, so my first graduation was rehab. My whole family came. It was wonderful. I finally got to walk across the stage, sort of. I began working at the treatment center. Actually, they, gave me that responsibility, and I became the program assistant there, which was wonderful because I got to love women back to health as well, right? I got to love women until they, loved themselves. And it really ignited this passion and fueled my purpose. And even, in my darkest days, even in those moments on the streets and being homeless and really lost, I would say, I didn't even believe in God, but I would say, if I ever get out of this, if I ever overcome this, I'm going to spend my life helping other people, overcome their demons as well. And so I yeah, at the age of 27, I applied to university. It was always this scary thing for me, right? I was a high school dropout. I hadn't been in a classroom in 10 years. I had all this lived experience, and I know I wanted to help people, but I knew I probably needed some formal education. So I applied to the University of Windsor, and they let me in. I'm just saying, no high school. I'm always really proud of that, actually. But yeah, and I went back to school at 27, and it was an amazing experience, actually. And I did really well, and I volunteered, and I was a research assistant, and I ran or helped run, I should say, a program for women, facing domestic violence and substance use and sex trafficking, and it was really a wonderful way to give back. And then I went on to get my master's degree after my undergrad, and I graduated with my master's degree in May of 2021, which was a huge accomplishment for me. And some days I don't like to admit this, but some days I'm still like sitting at my desk at work, and I just feel like someone's going to come up and tap me on the shoulder and say, "You don't belong here." But I know that I do, and we all deal with imposter syndrome. But truly, I now get to do what I love to do every day of my life. I work at the Bulimia Anorexia Nervosa Association. I'm a clinical therapist and registered social worker there. And I support adults and some transitional age youth through their battle with eating disorders. Eating disorders are really prevalent. There was a huge increase in intake, through the pandemic, right? For a host of reasons. And I absolutely love the field of social work and mental health, and any opportunity I get, I really love to share my story, because it does instill hope into a very hopeless subject, right? And when I get the opportunity to share about the transformative power of organizations, rehabilitation centers, places just like the Bridge, that's transformative power. What you guys are doing here is incredible. Servicing a really vulnerable demographic, right? Transitional age youth, and just being in the field of social work, we know that age group they often fall through the cracks. They really do, right? It's such meaningful work, and I'm just really grateful today. I'm so grateful and beyond blessed, and I don't take it for granted, and when I do, it's not for very long, because I'm living proof that through believing in something greater than yourself, having faith that you are held and supported and taken care of with every step that you take, and then also having, just the support of my amazing, loving family. All my relationships with my family members have been restored beyond what I ever could have imagined. I went from stealing from them and manipulating and lying to now them tuning in, 10 years later to watch me talk about overcoming all of that. And I'm going to get a little teary too. But it's just, it's one of those moments. It's a very full circle moment. I know that the Bridge services youth from age 14 to 24. Is that correct? And that's just so kismet and divine to me, because 14 to 24 those were the years that I was lost. Right? I pretty much bang on, like 14 to 24. So I was thinking about that on the drive up, and I was like, that's pretty full circle. But I really am just so grateful to have been asked to share, and I don't take it lightly. And I hope that you guys took away something from my story, something from my journey. I'm going to sing a song, actually an original song. You guys are going to hear me sing a couple more songs that hopefully, does my story a bit of justice. And they gave me a guitar in rehab 10 years ago, and I had played when I was a kid, and I picked it up, and sort of music and songs just started pouring out really organically, and so it's been a hobby since then. Okay, I'm gonna go get set up.
So the first thing that came to my mind when I listened to Jade was, first of all, thank you for being here with us. What a story. The first thing that came to my mind was the whole living our lives like from point A to point B. There's no such thing. There is no straight line living. I mean, Jade, sharing that with us was so emotional. I mean, it's even hard to even understand you can even project all this and feel the feelings that you had. I connect with you, and I think a lot of people here connect with you. So what she's saying is never give up, right? Never give up. The trajectory that I talked about is just what that means is you're gonna head in that direction. If you want to, you can, you will. Jade's living proof of it. I mean, she's proud of where she's come from. I'm sure she's changed and learned things and is now able to share. But remember, we never really do it alone. You know what I mean? We never really do it alone. You still have to rely on your friends, on your coworkers. Society is not an isolationist type of living. We don't function well as human beings on our own. We need support, however little or however large you need that support. And if you think of anything tonight, just think of going in that direction. Think of leaning on each other and expecting great things to come out of it. Because I know when Deanne and I meet a lot of people when we do charities, all they want to know is, do I matter to you? Do I matter? Does my existence mean anything to you? Do you care about me? And the minute you put your arm around somebody, you've changed their life. I mean, you know, the suicide rates in this country are horrible. All you have to try to do is love somebody. We love you, Jade. We love you. It was a beautiful way you projected that. Let's listen to Jade sing again in her glorious angelic voice.
Thank you. It's easier to play an original, let me tell you that. Oh, here, is my guitar on? Okay. If Xavier says it is, then I believe him. Okay. No more cold streets, dark nights, no hope left in sight. No more emptiness running through my veins. No more wasted hours, forgotten days. No more broken dreams, telling lies just to hide this pain inside. No more close calls, let's just end this all. No more not knowing what I stand for. You call me here out of the dark. You drew me to your heart. Now I'm found in your light. Now I feel so alive. Forgive me for this lustfulness, these earthly desires, yeah. For they only fade away, they burn up in your holy fire. You call me here out of the dark. You drew me in to your heart.
so alive. Yeah.
Thank you, Jade. That was so beautiful. That was so beautiful. Maybe I say that a lot, don't I? Yeah. It's all too beautiful. So, hey, listen, please remember, you only have about 10 more minutes or so to get your last minute pledges in, okay? If you're still on the fence and not sure if you want to donate, which I think you'd be crazy not to, honestly, this is an incredible resource for our community. Think of it this way, okay? Think of your donation as an investment, okay, in yourself, in our youth, and in the future of all of us. I mean, a healthy environment means healthy youth, healthy people, and it's all hinged on how much you give, how much you put out, okay? We also now, Jade has 2 more songs she wants to do,
Yes.
and we'll talk a little bit more. Oh, 1 second. You got some more numbers for me? Okay. Okay. You guys want to hear some more updated numbers to see how hard we're working to get these donations up? Okay, so again, corporate teams, there's 1, 2, 3, first, second, and third. UE enclosures, $31,716. Thank you. MC Manufacturing, $21,675 in second place. And Fair Car Wash, $14,760. Okay. Non-corporate teams, first place, MB Youth, $6,467. Hogs for Hospice, $6,143.75. And A Home for All, $5,456. Beautiful. Super. Well needed. Our individuals, Cornelius Fair in first place, $14,045. George Bergen, $12,928.75. And Greg over here, manager of operations of the bridge, $10,545, with a grand total so far of $151,710. Did you hear that? 161,000. So we have met our goal, but we're really not going to stop if we don't have to, okay? So congratulations, everybody. Jade, please take it away with your angelic voice again.
Okay. I'll do my best to live up to that, Mike. Okay, I'm going to play a favorite of mine. I mean, I'm sure everybody's heard it, but a man named Leonard Cohen wrote it.
Heard the voice's secret chord. It's David prayed and it praised the Lord. You don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift. The powerful King composes hallelujah. 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 Where your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof. her beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. And she tied you to a kitchen chair. She broke your throne. She cut your hair. And from your lips she drew hallelujah. 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 Well, maybe there's a God above, but all I've ever learned from love was how to shoot somebody who outdrew you. And it's not a cry that you hear at night. It's not someone who's seen the light. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Thank you. Thank you. I tried to do that song justice, but it's a difficult one. All right, so I'm going to end with one more song that I'm going to do my best to play. Again, I'm just so grateful to be here. What a wonderful night. You guys beat your goal. Honestly, I was looking a couple weeks ago at the website and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. But you did it, and congratulations on meeting your goal. So this is a song called Brother. It's by a band I really love called Need to Breathe. And really, it's just about having that person or that community even right by your side when you need them most.
Ramblers in the wilderness, we can't find what we need. We get a little restless from the searching, get a little worn down in between. Like a boat chasing the matadors, a man left to his own schemes. Everybody needs someone beside them, shining like a light that's from the sea. Brother, let me be your shelter. I'll never leave you all alone. I can be the one you call when you're low. Brother, let me be your fortress when the night winds are driving on. To be the one to light the way for you home. Face down in the desert now, there's a cage locked around my heart. I found a way to drop the keys when my failures worn out my hands, they can't reach that far. I ain't made for rivalry, can never take the world alone. I know that in my weakness I am strong, but it's your love that brings me home. Brother, let me be your shelter. I'll never leave you all alone. I can be the one you call when you're low. Brother, let me be your fortress when the night winds are driving on. To be the one to light the way. I'm right here. And on those days when the sky begins to fall, you're the blood of my breath. We can get through it all. Brother, let me be your shelter. I'll never leave you all alone. I can be the one you call when you're alone. Brother, let me be your fortress when the night winds are driving on. To be the one to light the way for you home.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for coming out.
Jay, thank you so much. We feel your spirit.
Thank
You have a beautiful spirit.
Thank
We're
you.
so glad you're here with us, and thank you for sharing such an emotional journey. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I have some thank yous. We are closing very shortly here. I know you guys have been very patient with me. Try not to yell too loud. We have some thank yous. UE Enclosures, MC3 Manufacturing, and Grossi Construction as our main event sponsors. So thank you for that. That was incredibly generous. Thanks to the North Leamington Tim Hortons, Domino's Canada, and McDonald's Kingsville for the food donations. It was so generous. And also, thank you to the Kindred Credit Union for sponsoring the breakfast. So that was lovely. Do we have any announcements on winners tonight, Greg? Jay, did you want to tell a joke?
No, I thought I told a couple jokes already.
1 minute? Okay. You got one more minute
What about
left.
you, Mike?
Thanks, Krista. No, I don't like joking a lot. I take my life way too seriously. No, but honestly, thanks to my wife tonight for keeping me on track. Deanna and I do a lot of things together. You guys might see us around. But I want to tell you, the bridge really, and we've watched it develop over the years, is really a resource you should lean on. It's very important. It's a beautiful way to give our youth and young adults hope, a place to go. I wish I had something like this growing up when I hated my parents and just wanted to get away and reorient yourself, to things that bring you someplace in your life at the end of it all. But in the end, I think you can't go wrong. The bridge and their donation tonight proved that people care. We broke the goal pretty easily, right, Greg?
Yeah.
Right? You look pretty happy. So thanks for all that, guys. It's very important. What do we have here, Greg? So, oh my gosh, our final numbers, okay? We're even better than we thought. So, corporate teams, first, second, and third. MC Manufacturing, 31,716. UE Enclosures. What is it?
MC is 36.
Oh, it says 31, Greg. Is that up to date? Some people have the live event, so it could have changed since I. Okay. What he's saying is he's blaming the computer. We get that. We get that technique. Don't worry about that, all right? So it's 36. Yeah, let's do it. So a UE enclosure, what did you guys say? UE Enclosures was 31,716? Yes, that's right. Fair Car Wash, my friend Mr. Fair here, 14,760. First, second, and third for non-corporate teams. MB Youth, 6,809. The Awesome Hogs for Hospice, 6,143. A Home for All, 5,456. And third, individuals, first place, Cornelius Fair, 14,045. Mr. Bergen, $12,928.75. Greg Weens, $10,545. Check this out. Check this out with a grand total of $180,126.50. So
we're ad-libbing a little bit in here. All right, if we can have Cornelius, if you want to come up front. That number of 180,000 is truly amazing. And again, we can't say it enough how generous our community is. The Essex, Leamington, Kingsville, Wheatley, our whole area, just truly amazing. And to have that kind of a number, we just say thank you to everyone. Cornelius was the individual winner. He, as you know, owns Fair Car Wash, so he harassed some of his customers into giving him donations, but it was well received, and again, all these donations go to support the youth in our community. And so this is for Cornelius.
woo, woo, woo.
He did an amazing job. And thank you to everyone for coming. Thanks to Jade and Bonzi for coming as well and sharing their stories with us. We are so thankful, so grateful to everyone. Thank you very much. Have a good night. So Xavier, have you cut the live stream?